front is, again, the Raceland coilovers that we installed last time we were down in Texas. And here you go, guys. I wasn't lying. These are set all the way to the bottom. And as you can see, they use the locking, so the two rings, nuts, spanner nuts, to be able to lock it in place, although it's not going to go down any further because it is at the bottom of the threads. So that is the front suspension on the car. Now, a lot of people also ask me about the rear suspension setup in this car, so I'm not going to spend too long on it because it is actually the same rear suspension that I did to this car 10 years ago. And all it was, or is, sorry, is a factory coil, which is this one right here, cut. And that's a seriously cut coil, as I'm sure most of you are familiar with what a factory stock coil spring looks like. And I have a tuner style adjustable spring perch right here that has a bolt going down through the center, down to underneath the lower control arm, and so that holds it in place. Then it has the adjustable ring that actually has a little Allen screw that tightens it to keep it in place. Some of these use two rings so that it kind of does the double locking. This one just has the one, and then when you tighten that screw, it just pinches the ring to the threads of the perch. So this is my rear suspension setup. Now, a lot of you guys might, question, oh, okay, cut stock springs, this and that. Well, if you look in the spring rates, the rear factory Mustang spring, if I remember correctly, is, I don't know, maybe somewhere around 300 pounds per inch. I've cut probably the better part of half of that coil out, which means, and they are a variable rate, so it is quite possible that there's a higher spring rate at the starting point of the spring than towards the ending. Long story short, by cutting them in half, you're doubling the spring rate essentially, which, let's say for example is a 400 pound spring, you cut it in half, now it's an 800 pound per inch spring, which is extremely important in a lowered vehicle because you don't need all that travel. You need it to be stiff and you need it to be firm. And people ask, how is the ride of this car? Well, considering how low the car is and that suspension style and setup, there's no quad shock, there's no fancy rear shock back there. So there you have it, folks. That is the suspension setup on the 1987 Stalkervert.